Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, then you are listening to an unsociable hour, which makes me Matthew Elliott White. This bi-monthly podcast that is now becoming a weekly podcast exists to introduce you to awesome people. And tonight's awesome person is Dale FiELD. Dale, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
First things first, what are you drinking tonight?
Very disappointingly for you, water.
Oh, what? Hey, well, fair play, dude. Fair play. You were saying that you're going through a bit of a drought in the house at the moment?
Well, new year, new me. I'm just starting in June instead of January. So
I took a gulp just as you said that, and that was not pleasant. Dude, I am so glad to finally have you on the show. This is the 7th episode now. So I wanted to make sure that things were set perfectly up for you so that when you came on, you could just kind of, steal the light totally.
Well, I don't know about that.
So we're going to start. I want to hit you with some quick fire questions. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, man. Fire away.
Okay. What is your favourite colour?
Red.
Your favourite drink?
Rum. Why did I even have to think about that?
Your favourite fast food restaurant?
Five Guys.
Bath or shower?
Shower.
Your favourite comfort food?
Ooh. Mac and cheese.
Your favourite film?
Oh, that's a tough one.
That is a difficult one, isn't it? I'm not even sure what I'd go for in that sense.
Oh, God. Wolf of Wall Street.
Cool. Your favourite music album? Now that has got to be difficult. You are a music man.
Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Or Hot Fuzz. I listen to them quite a bit.
Cool. Okay. Your favourite fictional place you'd like to visit?
Now that's a good one. Fictional. Oh, that's a tough one, Matt.
We can come back to that one.
Yeah.
What's the favourite question I've asked so far?
What's my favourite question? What's my favourite drink?
What's your favourite way to relax? Be careful.
Yeah. Writing code.
Writing code. Awesome.
Yeah.
If you had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh, fuck hell. Can I swear on this? Because I just have.
Oh, yeah, dude. Absolutely.
If I had a theme tune, what would it be? Blankety blank.
Awesome. Now, one of the greatest aspects of this podcast for me has been the opportunity to kind of witness the passion and drive that my guests have. I must say that it's not my intent to only feature like creators on this show. I have no idea how this podcast will play out in the long run. The feedback I've received suggests that the listeners prefer a more chilled out discussion. And if I'm honest, eventually this will probably be the path that this show will follow. Sometimes there may be no guests, but I will continue to try and improve the show. So to the listeners, your feedback is always welcome. In fact, I kind of rely on it. Now that said, Dale, you are a creator.
Well, not music, but...
No, not music, but one of the greatest things about life is that people should be willing to take risks. Safe risks, but risks nonetheless. Because I think if people don't... a world without risk could be terrible. Now, you took quite a big risk a few years ago. Can you talk us through that?
I'm assuming you're talking about me leaving my well-paid job to go to uni.
Yes.
But yeah, that was it really. I had a very well-paid job, but it wasn't something that I enjoyed doing at all. I was sort of sat at home on a Sunday night with all the money in the world thinking, oh, for fuck's sake, I've got to go back to that place tomorrow. So I decided to, with the help of you actually, Matt, let's be honest, there was a lot of phone calls to you saying, what do you reckon? Do you think I should do this? And eventually I decided to go to uni for the first time at what was I, 31 then? Or, no, 30, wasn't I?
You would have been 30 at the time, yeah.
Yeah, 30. So, an old man in uni terms, but I'm feeling an older man in real terms. But yeah, so I'll be going back into my last year in September, hopefully. COVID-19 missing. It all depends, doesn't it? But yeah, so yeah, my partner was pregnant at the time, so we was expecting our first daughter. So that was a big I don't know, what's the word?
It was a risk. It was a big, I suppose, gamble. It was a big decision to make, but you made it. I'm so proud you did, because I know you've not looked back since. You were so unhappy.
Easy. Yeah, it's not been easy. I mean, because of the situation that we were in, for the first year, it was completely unfunded. So I went from I would say above average paid job to nothing for the first year. And then I was only getting sort of student loans, which is maybe all right for an 18-year-old who's living in halls or whatever, but when you've got your own house and a kid on way and stuff like that, it was a stretch. But luckily my partner is amazing, and she saw us through it, and hopefully I can repay her once we're all set up and I've got the actual degree.
Can you tell us what you went to university to do, fundamentally?
So what my degree is?
Yes.
So it's computer games programming, but it covers computer science a lot, and then the last year or so we've got more into the actual gaming side of it. The most of the gaming stuff I've been doing off my own back out of uni time. If I had to be honest, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. The course that I'm doing, it's not what it's advertised to be. But at the same time, I'm glad I've done it. It's definitely pushed me in the direction I want to go in terms of career and things like that. So.
What would you hope to achieve at the end of your time at university? So once you have your degree, because I know that you've said it's kind of not what you thought it was going into it, but that you're glad that you took the chance and that you did it, and I'm glad you did as well, because
that's only in terms of the degree and the structure of the degree and what we're actually doing on the degree, not in terms of what I actually want to do. When it's been the gaming side of it or the programming side of it, it's been amazing, because that's what I want to do, and that's still my goal, is to work at if not a big publisher, then as part of a small indie dev team. I'd love to get a job at Sega just to see you lose your shit, mate.
But if you got a job at Sega, I would quite literally, I don't know what I'd do. I'd turn to alcoholism. but happily this time.
Yeah.
I'd turn to it as a celebration of you.
Yeah. The big thing about the degree was, I mean, I don't want to get into my own life story, but the job I had was, even though it was well paid, I wasn't well qualified. So if I'd have lost that job at any point, and the company I worked for was pretty trigger happy, I'd have been back down to minimum wage, because I've got no qualifications or anything like that. So it was sort of a case of, I like this amount of money, I want to get something that means that I can demand this amount of money all the time, rather than falling ass backwards into it, which is pretty much what we did.
Yeah.
So that was a part of it as well.
And what would you say, up until this point, what would you say is the biggest lesson you've kind of learnt through making that decision? What personal growth have you seen in yourself since taking that decision?
Oh, fucking hell.
I suppose that's a bit heavy for a Thursday, isn't it?
No, I'm glad I did it. I think it sort of taught me that I was sort of feeling old at the time. I thought maybe I was a bit getting past it and stuff like that. But then I went to uni and I made friends with 18-year-olds right up to guys in the 40s. So it was good to know that I was still capable of that. You know what I'm like, Matt. We've been out at times. You've seen me around people. I'll talk to anybody about anything.
You are. I mean, we will touch on this later, but you are definitely one of the most sociable people that I've ever met. You know, you're very inviting. You're very talkative, but kind of like in the good way. You know, you are. You're always willing
to chat bollocks as well.
Well, we all can. But I think one of the greatest things about you is kind of how easy it is to talk to you, and you love meeting new people. So I knew that going to university would kind of be great for you because it would vastly expand kind of the social bubble. But I must say, I mean, we've spoken about this before, and I know that the age factor came into it when you were thinking about going. I must say, and you can probably answer this, but I imagine that having gone at 30, as a 30-year-old, I would assume you can appreciate the experience a lot more. I think whereas some people tend to go to university maybe because they don't know what to do, maybe they don't have direction, maybe they just want to go to live that student experience. You kind of went in focused on what you wanted to do, and I think that's really worked for you.
It's definitely a different experience, I should imagine. Obviously, I didn't do it when I was 17, 18, whatever. But it's definitely a different experience for a mature student. Like you say, I've got no interest in going out and getting bladdered every night and spending all my money in the first freshers week and stuff like that. I'm not bothered about going to all these parties, so I'm sort of like more focused. It's definitely, I'll definitely say that that's right. To me, this isn't maybe some of the younger guys look at it and think, oh well, if this don't work out, something else will work out, because they've still got that naivety maybe.
Yeah.
Whereas I've lived my life, I've done work that I hate for somebody who I hate for next to no money, and I don't want to be in that situation again. And this another part of the degree was it opened up the world. You know me, mate. I'm not xenophobic or anything like that. I love different people and different cultures and things like that. So if this degree allowed me to go and work somewhere else other than the UK, then I'd have no problem with that. You know what I mean?
I think you are very much you're very much kind of would love to go and see the world, and I think that your current path would definitely lead you there. I mean, let's be honest. With that degree, you could essentially work anywhere in the world, so long as you had all of the resources that you needed. You could pretty much work from anywhere.
Exactly. And that was the thing. Nobody's going to employ a factory worker in America, in Sweden, in Norway, in Canada, in Germany, in any of these places from another country if they don't need to. Whereas with the degree in programming, it's a skill. It's a skill that's needed.
To you, how important has your personal journey been because kind of what I want to convey is, I mean, your back was really up against the wall. Like I won't go into it, but it's kind of like it was a real risk to take that you took, and it's worked out beautifully. I know it's been hard. It was always going to be difficult, and to think that kind of to put it into perspective for some of the listeners, kind of like COVID would have been the least risky thing for you at the time, wouldn't it? Because you were basically jumping into the unknown, and I think that was brilliant because you had that ambition and you had the drive and you knew that you did not want to be in that dead-end job for the rest of your life. And whereas I think a lot of people and I imagine a few of the listeners as well, a lot of people get so used to their day-to-day and their routine that they never step out of that bubble.
It's weird. It's weird. I was watching YouTube yesterday, just jumping into the rabbit hole as you do, and I came across a speech by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and one of the points he made in it was he was saying that 75% of people don't like the job or hate the job or what they're doing. 75%. Well, this was Americans, so it's still a lot of people hate the job. And that was me. I was one of them. I hated my job. Yeah, I got paid a lot, but it wasn't worth it. I was miserable. I'd have ended up. I think what I look back and I think all the people I've met in the last 4 years, all the new stuff I've learned in the last 4 years, and what I'm maybe able to achieve in the next couple of years. Or I could be sat in that same little box office with no windows now that I was 4 years ago, earning the same amount of money, speaking to the same people, doing the same mundane shit day after day. It's just, it's one of my biggest frustrations in life is when I hear people saying, "Oh, I hate my job. I hate my job." Do something else then, because nothing's going to change on its own.
But that's one of the things I find like the most inspiring is that you say that because you have done it, in the sense of kind of like not only we could all say, dude, if you hate your job, just quit, just go find something else. But like you actually went and did it. You took a shot in the dark, and again, it's worked beautifully. The way I saw it, mate, was I didn't have anything to lose. Other than a bit of money, because I might have dropped down. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I say I was on a decent wage, it wasn't like 50 or 60 grand a year. It was nothing like that. No. But it was, I would say, above average for the area that we live. Oh yeah, and even at the time. I mean, what year did you do? What year did you leave?
2017, I think. 2016, 2017.
Yeah, 2016, I think.
Somewhere around.
But it was. I mean, but the fact that you kind of that day was just. I'll always remember getting that phone call where it was just kind of like, look, I've spent years being unhappy. I don't know what to do. I want to take the chance. I know what I want to do. I'm just scared of getting there. And you did it. So a question that I'd like to ask you now, and I suppose it's quite a personal one, is what advice would you give to somebody that is in that same position that you were in?
Do it. The worst thing in the world is regretting things, is sitting there. Like, no matter, most people in the job that they're signing now, if they don't like it, it's not as if that job is so exclusive that they couldn't just go and do the same job somewhere else. So what have you got to lose? If it doesn't work out, you just go and work doing the same job as you did before. And at least then I took a chance, I went for it, I tried it, but it didn't work out, oh well. That's the way I looked at it. I thought to myself, well, if this don't work out, I can always just go and get a job in another factory somewhere. Because you know what I mean? And at least then I can say, well, I tried it. It didn't work. But
the notion of failing is never the end of the world. I know that people kind of build up these crazy expectations of success.
Everybody fails. I don't know a successful person who didn't fail at first and then come back. It's very rare that you'll try something and it'll take off and then that's it. You never have to look back. And what's up with failing anyway? There's no up with that. I'd rather try to become what I want to become, programmer in my case, and fail 50 times than just sit there miserable in a job I don't want to do, never trying anything. And that's the way I look at it.
Have you ever seen the film Bad News Bears?
No.
It was kind of like the Mighty Ducks, but with baseball. Except it's kind of like focuses around these kids, like this like minor baseball team, and the whole film is kind of like teaching them, kind of teaching them camaraderie, friendship, or your typical kind of coming of age film.
Yeah.
In the same way that Mighty Ducks was, except at the end of Bad News Bears, there's like this the game that they've been preparing for the entire film, and they lose. And the purpose of the film is to point out that, you know what, sometimes you can try your hardest and you can do everything in your power, and you can still lose, and that's okay. And the whole and it's kind of like a beautiful message.
Well, they've still enjoyed getting there. They've still made friends along the way. They've still learned things that they didn't know before.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's not that end goal isn't the be all and end all. That's just perfect. I've got my in my mind. I've got my fairy tale ending. That when I get my degree, I walk into a Sumo Digital or a Sega or somewhere like that. But if that don't happen, oh well, I'm still in a better position than I was before, because I've got this thing that says this person is worth this amount of money to this company or another company. So I mean, I don't. But the thing is, especially in programming, I didn't need to get the degree to get into programming. I could have done it off my own back. There's been plenty of people who've got into programming self-taught, and they've landed big jobs at places. But the place that I want to work, like that would be my dream job, they will only accept a first class degree. So that's what I thought. Well, I'll go for it then. That was me thinking. So,
what would be your dream programming gig?
At the minute, the place that made me that finally made me think, fuck it, I'm going to go for it, was Sumo Digital in Nottingham. It's in Nottingham. I love Nottingham. You know me, I'm a Nottingham lad.
Yeah.
So I know the area. My missus loves Nottingham. We live not far from there now, so she likes to go shopping and that for meals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a really good studio. They produce really good games, and the culture there, from everything I've read and everything I've seen, is amazing. Like, no pressure. Obviously, they probably have crunch and stuff like that, but just all the benefits and perks of being treated like an adult rather than being babysitted like some of the bosses that we've mutually had in the past. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I certainly do. Did you want me to send this episode to Sumo as a reference?
Oh God.
Okay,
Swore
cool.
and stuff, and that's the thing, man. I would never apply at Sumo as my first attempt. Do you know what I mean?
You want to cultivate
I want
a portfolio. Before.
Yeah, I want to have 50 interviews at 50 places that I'm excited to work at, but if I don't get it, oh well, all the best. I'll try somewhere else. So, but there are plenty of other places that I'd love to work as well. DICE, Rockstar, any of the big studios. I'd love to get into somewhere like that. But then at the same time, I wouldn't mind working as part of a smaller. So this probably suits me well, the whole risk reward thing, because to me, anything that's not doing the job I did before and doing programming and earning a living off it is success to me.
Absolutely, and it is, because and the greatest thing you'll know that you put in the time, the effort, the patience, the resilience. You put in everything for it, and so suddenly it's going to be much more
Well, we had mutual friends. We had. I mean, there is that part about it as well. If anybody is listening and thinking, "Oh, I'd love to have the bollocks to do that and quit my job and go and do what I want to do," do not be fooled into thinking that there'll be supportive people like I had Matt and my partner and family and friends, but also there'll be people who say telling you that you can't do it and it's a stupid idea and you're throwing your life away and this, that, and other. But that's a lot of that is because people don't like to see other people succeed. Some people are like that. They don't want you to, especially where I worked previously. There was a lot of, well, because my life's shit, I want your life to be shit, and you'll get that.
I think it comes from a place of, if you have this ambition, and if you leave, it might make me think that maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the one that kind of wasted my chances. It kind of creates doubt in people when you try to put your head up. And I think that's why a lot of the problem with society is, the idea of kind of like herd mentality, or like, people being sheep, because if one person puts their head up, they kind of feel like they're going to be judged or mocked. And if they are, it's typically purely down to the fact that nobody else can think for themselves. Nobody else can kind of think to themselves, you know what, I'm willing to take this risk. It could cost nothing, it could cost everything. But all I know is that I am unhappy in this moment right now, and this is quite clearly not working. So what's the harm in trying something else?
Yeah. And I think going back to like me being sort of 30 and knocking on a bit in terms of picking up a new career and learning and going to uni and stuff, that was one of the things that actually helped me, pushed me to make the decision, was the fact that I sat there and I was sat in my office, no windows, cold, just miserable, just waiting for the next boring job to come in. And then I thought to myself, I'm 30, am I too old to do this? And then it dawned on me that I've probably, thanks to the Tories, still got 40 years of work ahead of me. So I've probably still got way many more years ahead of me than what I've already done.
Yeah.
So what sense does it make to be sat here miserable for the next 40 years? Do I want to turn into one of these sour-faced fuckers who I work with, who are bitter and twisted because they haven't got to live out their dreams, or at least I tried to live out their dreams? So I was like, nah, this ain't for me. And I remember I told my boss, I gave the company 12 weeks notice that I was leaving. I was like, I'm leaving September, I'm gone. And they were like, firstly, he said I was crazy. He said, you're crazy. You're mad for doing this. And I was like, well, so be it. Maybe I am. And I don't think they believed I was ever going to do it, because right up until my last day, they didn't have anybody in to replace me. So as I was leaving, they was still doing interviews to replace me. So I think they was thinking, oh, he won't go through with it. He won't do it, or whatever. But just if you even just, what's the worst that can happen? Literally, like, seriously, what is the worst that can happen?
To put for the listeners who don't know, and I'm not going to mention any names, but in terms of kind of like the big deal it was that Dale decided to leave this company. Dale, what year did you start there?
Oh God, 2005, 6, 5, 6, 4, something like that. Can't remember, mate.
Well, to put it into perspective for the listeners, by the time that, I think it was 2016 when you left, to put it into perspective, in 2016, Dale had been the first person to ever leave the company voluntarily in our depot, in our department.
Yeah.
Nobody had ever, people had been sacked because, as you said, they were very trigger happy. But nobody had ever actually left. So I think there was that thought of, oh my God, he's not going to carry through with it because he'd be crazy to. And then you did, and it was utter beautiful chaos. It was it was like mouth-watering chaos. It was brilliant. I loved it, and I'm so proud of you because even through the difficult times that have come, you know that ultimately you made the decision for you that made you most happy. And I remember the guy that was sat in that canteen in Huthwaite, and I think of you now, and they are totally different people.
Yeah, I mean, I was there. I was with that company or that company under a different name eventually for 10 years, probably longer. Let's say 10 years. And I think from the first 6 months I was saying, nah, I don't like it here. So it's not as, I don't want people to get the idea that like I'd worked there a year and thought, yeah, this ain't for me. It took me a long time. It took me a long time to actually work up the courage to go out and do it.
Easily.
And I just, one of my biggest regrets is not doing it sooner. I wish I'd have done it sooner. I wish I'd have done it when I was 25, 26 instead of 30, because it would have made such a difference.
The thing is, I mean, I know that, I mean, it's kind of like looking back with hindsight, isn't it? But I suppose that there was always that chance that had you done it at 25, 26, the timing might not have been right. Maybe there would have been other things in place. I mean, maybe things would have been different, you know.
But that's what you've got to be careful of, though, man, because the timing might never be right. Don't forget, when I started my degree, I started in September. My missus told me she was pregnant in June or July.
Yeah.
So my daughter was due in January.
Yeah.
So I could that was that very that's probably the closest I came to staying and not doing it. And it was only because my partner said, "No, you've got to do it now. You got your heart set on it. You've got to go for it," which is amazing for her to say.
It is.
So it's don't sit there thinking, I don't want people to think, oh, I'll do it next year. I'll
wait for the right time because
that's
exactly,
what I did.
As you
that's
said.
what I did for nearly a decade. For nearly a decade, I don't want people to waste time. If you feel strongly about something and you know you want to do it, then do it. Don't have any regrets. Don't get to 50, 60 and think, oh, what if I'd have done that? What if I'd have done this? Because it's one of the worst things you can do to yourself.
Dude, thank you so much for kind of sharing that story and that kind of part of your life. I mean, I will say, we've known each other for so long, and I will 100% one day be able to kind of stand with you as either you or I tell your daughter kind of, do you know, once your dad made one of the bravest decisions I think I've ever seen a person make. And that will be an amazing moment to kind of to impress on her kind of that those possibilities exist. And I hope that will in some way inspire some of the listeners too, who let's be honest, as you say, everybody gets pissed off with the jobs. Everybody's unhappy in some way. So hopefully, I thought, your experience, I'm sure will resonate with quite a few. And I hope that just like you, they will stand up, take stock of things around them and think, I deserve better than this. And go on to achieve what you have.
Yeah. And you'll get such a buzz out of basically telling your boss to get fucked and just walking out.
How did it feel for you?
It was amazing. that last 12 weeks was
Slow motion.
Honestly, that last 12 weeks was the best 12 weeks I had there, because I knew that I was untouchable. It was just like, what are you going to do? Sack me? I'm off in 12 weeks, mate. Honestly. Talk all the shit you want, come out with all your corporate buzzwords, do whatever you want, and it doesn't matter to me, because I'm gone. I mean, and you'll have so much freedom, and you'll feel, if it's something that you've been thinking about for a long time, once you actually take the leap and do it, you'll feel such a weight off your chest, and it'll feel so good. But don't be. This isn't me trying to tell people that it's going to be all sweetness and light if they do make a decision like this. There will be hard times and there will be tough times, and it might not work out, but at least you can say you tried. That'd be my message to people, if they were even bothered about what I had to say.
I'm sure they will, mate. I'm sure they will. At the end of the day, life is far too short.
Exactly.
And you are more likely to regret the things that you didn't try rather than regret the things that didn't work.
Oh, 100%, mate.
Dale, thank you for talking about that. So I'm going to try and take it into a lighter field now. I want to ask, can you remember where your love for video games began?
Oh God, probably the early 90s. Super Mario, first Nintendo.
The NES.
Yeah, the NES. Yeah, the big, like a slice of bread cartridge. Kids nowadays wouldn't know what the fuck it was if I showed them. They'd be like, "What's that?"
Dude, kids nowadays don't know what a fucking floppy disk is.
Yeah. So yeah, that was probably when I first got into games. They opened up a new world for people. I mean, I don't understand. I can't wrap my head around people my age, or any age really, that scoff at games and say, "Oh, they're for kids" and stuff like that. I mean, it's $1 billion industry. It's bigger than the music industry, the film industry, and the television industry combined. So, and I'll never understand the need for people to scoff at it. But yeah, that was when I first. Super Mario, colour. It was amazing. The sounds. I can remember, because I'm an old man. I can remember
I'm not that old.
I think the first. I feel old. I think the first sort of games related thing I remember was actually a Commodore 64.
Oh yes.
And you had tape decks. You had tapes that you used to have to put into it, like a cassette tape.
Yeah. And it'd take like
if you were born
20 minutes to load.
1990, you'll have to Google cassette and you'll see what it is. But yeah, so that was I can vaguely remember sort of playing on that when I was younger.
Can you remember what your favourite console was, or is?
My favourite console in the early days was the SNES. I know you're a Genesis / Mega Drive man, but
that was my first console.
It was the SNES, man. It was colourful. All the games were colourful. You had good characters like Mario and. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Nintendo. I like Sega and things like that. And then I had a sort of. You moved on to and SNES was like 16-bit, really colourful, and you had really catchy music. Like everybody knows the Mario music. Everybody.
Yeah, of course.
I don't care when you were born. You know the Mario music if it's on. So yeah, that was my like early day console, and then obviously I got a PlayStation 2, and then switched up to the Xbox 360, and then console wise I've had Xboxes since.
Yeah,
I mean I've had the PS4 as well, but I tend not to play on it. To be honest, mate, since I've got into PC gaming, consoles have just died out for me. But
I'm going to say, because you have a beautiful PC gaming rig.
yeah, I built my own desk.
You built like the computer. You built the PC inside the desk.
Yeah. So I went to B&Q, bought some MDF, cut it to size, and then I had a old glass coffee table, and I just stuck the glass on top, and it cost me about 200 quid, and to buy one of them is about $2,500. So I saved a bit of money there.
Yeah, because I remember you had like the LED lighting and stuff around as well. Didn't you?
Yeah. It was gamified. It was, but I've upgraded now, so I've got a different desk at the minute. I needed something a bit more functional. So
you do have kind of like a beautiful setup. I imagine it really helps kind of with the whole uni work and stuff like this.
You need it, mate. If I'm trying to render stuff in, especially in 3D and Unreal or stuff like that, you need a little bit of horsepower under there. So yeah.
I remember getting back to consoles of the youth. I remember I held off buying a PlayStation for I asked my mum to hold off buying a PlayStation for so long because I was adamant that nothing was going to be better than the Dreamcast.
Oh yeah, you loved the Dreamcast, didn't you?
And I'd live to regret that. But yeah, and then I got the PlayStation, and then the very first Xbox I had was the 360, which me and you kind of used to go on quite a lot back in the day.
Quite a lot? Fucking, that's an understatement.
Like every night,
mate. When we was on afters,
10 years.
It was basically finish work at 10, be on the Xbox till about 4 in the morning, go to sleep, wake up, go back to work, rinse and repeat for 5 days a week.
Hey, ironically, do you want to know why the podcast is called An Unsociable Hour?
Go on.
Because that's what we used to work.
Unsociable hours?
Yeah, on the after shift. That's the one thing I miss.
Well, that's where we met, didn't we? We met at work.
Yeah, on the after shift.
Yeah. This young, fresh-faced 17-year-old came in.
With long hair.
Daftest haircut I've ever seen. And I couldn't help but take the mic.
I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to look like Kurt Cobain. and then looking at myself and thinking, you're fucking really not. You are really not.
You look like Courtney Love.
Cheers, mate. But yeah, just some interesting trivia there. Do you have? What would you say if you had to pick one game from your childhood? What would be your? I'll say, what would be your desert island game?
Oh, desert island
for your
game.
Childhood.
From my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're asking an old man to think a long way now. What do you consider in childhood? What age?
Days of youth.
Probably Pez, man. I know it's boring, but it's the most. Or GoldenEye. We had some good nights on GoldenEye on the N64 as well. Anything that was really like sociable, like so obviously I like people don't know, but I've got a brother, and we had some amazing nights up on Pez until way too late in the morning when we were supposed to be at school the next day. Scoring absolute worldies and trying not to work the rest of the arse up when it's finally at the back of the net. I remember we played, I think it was like Pro Evolution 2, and we was on like the highest difficulty, and we got to the World Cup final, and we was England, and we was against France, and could we as fucking beat them? We tried for so long, mate. It was like, I bet we started playing at like maybe 8 o'clock at night, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and we'd just been trying over and over and over and over again to beat this French team, and we couldn't do it. And eventually, I'll never forget it, my brother lobs the ball in. I'm Alan Smith. I don't know why. That's probably why we didn't win, because we were playing him. And he heads it back, and Shearer just smashes it in the top corner. I'm sure it was Shearer, and it finally goes in, and it's like 4:00 in the morning. Well, we didn't give a shit about waking anybody up. We were going mental. We were going absolutely mental. Parents come running in the room. What's going off here? It's 4:00. We've won World Cup, mate. Get in. So that was nights like that on games like that. I've got so many, like, I can think of so many little memories that come back to me when playing like PES and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, there's much better like narratives in games and things like that, but do you know, when you're thinking back about little catchphrases and things that have happened, so many revolve around playing PES or FIFA, that it would be, or COD. I mean, how much we played that Call of Duty 4, man. Yeah. Like, there's so many stories around that just
defy expectation.
Well, you can't. They're the things that you can't program into a game.
They're unpredictable. You never know kind of what you're going to gain from that. So it's kind of like the multiplayer experience. Would probably be one of your, like, gaming with other people would probably have been one of your major things when you were growing up.
When I was younger, yeah, definitely. I mean, not so much now, but I mean, I can remember back in the Call of Duty 4 days when we'd dive into the public chat and be talking to the opposition team, and like, but reveling in it back then. When we was like 22, 23, like loving winding people up, getting the better of them, and even if that was your friends, like, I'll never forget when a mutual friend of ours squared up to his missus and got banned off of the Xbox because I kept killing him. Can you remember?
Oh God, never heard from him again.
She
buried him. She buried him under kitchen.
Yeah, he was not allowed back on it.
Man.
Yeah, man. I can just, like, even now sitting here thinking, I can think of a time I was playing a friend of mine called Mark on PES, and someone called me on my mobile. So I was using one hand to just run my player around. I couldn't kick it, but I could run around with the analog stick. And I don't know how, I somehow managed to run the ball into his net. And, like,
wow,
we still talk about that now. And this was 15 years ago. And it's still like a memory welded in there.
I don't think I'd be able to score a goal on PES or any football game with three hands. So that is wicked. Dale, you want to start a YouTube gaming channel? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I'd like to. It's finding the time to do it is the problem. I don't want it to be. I want the production to be pretty good. I think it's got to be nowadays to be up there. But yeah, I mean, it's all set up and everything. I've just got to start doing it.
Is there anything that's holding you back aside from the time? Because, I mean, for example, obviously, before I started this, you know, I know that it can kind of be a little bit nerve-wracking. I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, what if I record this thing? What if it's awful? What if I'm terrible? What if, you know, nobody takes any interest at all? You know, I think those doubts that come in when you're thinking of creating something, kind of really do kind of they kind of cripple you in a way, because I remember thinking, oh my, what if I'm going to look like such an idiot if I've kind of I mean, the first guest on this show, Adam, lovely bloke, I'd organised the interview with him kind of before I even knew what the podcast was going to be called, before I even had any idea realistically that I was actually going to record it. And it was only, to be fair, thanks to Adam, it was only him kind of getting in touch with me occasionally to be like, when are you wanting to record this, that kind of made me go, oh God, right, okay, I need to record it, because otherwise I'm just going to look like a massive dickhead, because I've been like, please, you know, I'd love to have you on the show, but I didn't have the heart to kind of say, I am having doubts kind of about if I can pull this off. But also, I don't want to let you down because he seemed to be kind of like really looking forward to it. And I thought, I don't want to be that guy that's just like, yeah, it was a great idea, but actually, dude, I'm so busy. And, just try and kind of like hide off and skulk off into the shadows. So if it's kind of like the nerves of starting the channel, the only thing that I can really say from this point, I mean, this is the 7th episode now, is that, and I suppose it's like a bit of a no-brainer, but it does actually get quite a bit easier, the more you do it. I mean, I still get kind of like pre-recording like judders. I still kind of like think, oh God, what if this is, what if tonight it goes wrong?
Well, we've spoke before about doing a podcast, haven't we? That's a bit more casual and
yes,
more stories about. I mean, God, some of the stuff we could talk about.
I would 100% on this show right now. I would 100% commit to doing that. I think that we have had that many amazing stories and just fun times, man. I think people would laugh so much. Like we could put like quite a few. To be fair, we could put kind of like a lot of these popular comedy shows to shame. Some of the stories that we've had.
Some of the stories people might find funny and interesting, definitely. Because there is a lot of them. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's not necessarily like a nerves or even being really bothered if anybody watches it or anything like that. It's more of a time issue. I mean, I work full time. At the minute, I'm on a placement, so
yeah,
that's sort of 9 to 5. Then my daughter don't go to bed till 8, and then so it's like by then I'm pretty knackered and stuff like that. But I suppose if I want to do it, then there's no excuse really. Just get it done.
What would be your go-to game? Like what game would you want to kind of?
See, that's more of the sort of thing I need to flesh out, because I don't know whether I could do a bit of streaming and stuff and just like stream whatever I'm playing at the time. But a lot of the YouTube channels that I watch, it's sort of like it's more cinematic, choreographed, if you like, scripted gameplay stuff. So I think they tend to be a bit more popular now. I like sort of ensemble stuff like Fun Ass. They're one of my favourites, Neebs Game and things like that, where it's not just watch me play this game sort of thing. But I would like to do some of that as well. I don't know, man. I've not really like thought real hard about what I would do or what I wouldn't. I think the best thing for me to do would just to be start playing a game and start recording it and just see what happens.
Well, what I will intend to do is all of kind of like the links and stuff I tend to put in the show notes kind of at the end of the show. But what I will do is when you eventually set that up, what I will do is I will go into edit all the information on this podcast and I will add it in for people who kind of want to check that out. Because
when does this go out, Matt?
This will be released next week.
I'll have some up there by next week.
Hey, nice, sweet,
there
cool.
We go.
Well,
there we go.
We'll do that.
We've done it. We've got me committed to something now.
That's technically a podcast exclusive now. So
yeah.
Dale, sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, so I'll try and get some up by next week. I don't know what it'll be. It'll probably be crap, but I'll shove it up there.
It'll be great, and I will share it everywhere. Yeah. Speaking of sharing, let's talk about social media.
Yeah, do we have to?
Your Twitter is full of politics and football.
Pretty much.
Which means more to you?
And gaming. There's a lot of gaming stuff on there.
Yeah.
Football means more to me than politics. Bloody hell.
You are a passionate Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
What's your favourite era?
This one, mate, we're amazing. This is my favourite era. This one right now. I don't know, man. 2005 sort of era was pretty special. Torres, when he came in after that, was pretty special. We had some really. The thing with Liverpool is they've had some really good players, but not all at the same time. And now we've got some really good players all at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's why it's clicking at the minute, and hopefully we'll win the league in the next week or two, and I'll be a very happy man.
What was it that drew you to Liverpool initially?
My mum's a big fan. She actually been up to Anfield way before I was born and stuff like that. So that was me. That was probably the biggest draw at the time. And then when I was first getting into football, Liverpool was still semi-winning stuff. So they were still on the telly a lot and stuff like that. So and then once you get hooked on the team, that's it. There's no turning back. It's not like you can change your tune. So and I was pretty sort of like anti-popularity. So because everyone supported Man U, I was like, well, fuck that, I'm not supporting them.
And now to put it into perspective, your brother is a die-hard Man United fan as well.
Oh God, unfortunately, so biggest regrets in life.
What, he's your brother, or that he likes Man United?
The Man U bit, he's all right as a brother, I suppose, but the Man U bit, yeah, I should have pressured him more when we were younger.
So what I'd like to do is I would like you to explain, if you can, which I imagine you can, explain to me the offside rule.
Are you fucking joking?
No.
Nobody knows what the offside rule is anymore. Basically, the attacker can't be any further forward in the pitch than the last defender when the ball's played to him. It's really simple.
Okay.
So but then it starts getting muddled because there's got to be two players between the attacker and the goal. So if the goalkeeper is on the halfway line for some reason, and there's only one defender, you're still offside. It's got to be two, yeah. But don't worry about the offside rule now. We've got VAR to sort that out.
What are your opinions on VAR in terms of what the game now is?
I think it's brilliant.
Are you a fan?
There is not a problem with VAR. Not a problem at all. The problem is, it's the same problem there's always been. The officials are shite.
Yeah.
That's what the problem is. So if you and me, Matt, were stood at SpaceX control when they're trying to launch the Dragon so that they can go to the ISS, all that equipment is amazing. Do you think you and me are going to be able to manage to get that rocket up in the air? Not a chance.
No.
No. Well, when you put a moron in charge, you get moronic results, don't you? That's what the problem
is. Who would be your favourite footballer of all time?
Steven Gerrard.
Good choice. Good choice. If you could trade places with any footballer, who would it be?
What, today?
Totally dependent on you. In fact, I'd like to know how long you would like to be this particular person.
If it was a player who was playing now, then it would probably be Jordan Henderson, because he got to lift the European Cup and is going to get to lift the Premier League in a couple of weeks, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and then eventually there will be a parade, and that's going to be amazing. So if it was today, it'd be Endo, just because he's the captain and a massively underrated player as well. He's amazing.
Yeah. So
it'd be him. All time, probably Stevie. The adulation that he gets, that legendary status. You know what I mean? To the amount of times he's pulled us out of the fire, and that Liverpool fans just love him, don't they? So yeah, it'd probably be Stevie if I had to say of all time.
Which footballer do you hate the most?
You know what? I don't really hate any footballer, if I'm being honest. If I'm being like totally honest.
Okay.
Like when I was younger, I used to hate all the Man U players and Fergie, but that's because you're young and you're stupid a bit, aren't you? But now it's just a game. I don't really hate them. Like, and I think it doesn't hurt that Liverpool are so good now that it makes it easy not to hate them.
Yeah.
Like, when you're crap, then you hate everybody, don't you? Because they're more successful than you or whatever, or things like that. But at the minute, there's no one that I really like hate. Which is, I don't know whether. I'm sure there's plenty of Liverpool fans out there who are now saying a million names down there. But yeah, not me.
If there were three, I know that you mentioned previously that you've had a lot of great players, but just at different times. If you could bring in any previous three players into the current squad, who would you bring? To bring into the current squad at this time when they are performing as great as they are.
So just three players that I think could get into this team now.
Not necessarily who you think would get in. Who would you want in? Who would you bring into this current
to
era?
make it better?
Yes.
Gerrard.
Yeah.
His passing range with these boys would be ridiculous.
Well, even his wonder goals alone.
Probably just for nostalgia's sake, and some Liverpool fans are going to hate me for saying this. Torres.
Okay.
Just because he was, like, for me, at the age I am, he was the first one in, like, the modern-ish era.
Yeah.
Who was amazing. Like, when that first season, man, when he came, he was fucking ridiculous. The goals he was scoring and the stuff he was doing. It was just him and Gerrard together in this team.
Nino.
Yeah, would be but then there's like this Suarez as well. Even though he's a dirty bastard, and a lot of Liverpool fans dislike him now for the Barcelona celebrations and stuff like that. But the thing is, mate, like, I've never got that. Like Danny Sturridge scored a worldie against Chelsea. I think it was last season now. And he don't even celebrate because he used to play for Chelsea like 5 years before.
It's kind of like a fine line, isn't it? There's the respect of the former club, but then there's also.
But then you're disrespecting your new fans, aren't you?
Yeah, it's like when you leave a job for another job. Do you risk upsetting the old employer or the new employer?
Sort of. It's sort of like that. I mean, it's like a fandom, innit? It's like fandom. I think probably what I'm trying to say is I don't care if Suarez scores against us and celebrates. I'm not bothered. Doesn't bother me. I don't know why people let it wind them up. Honestly, couldn't care.
Okay.
So I'd probably say, but then there's Alonso. I'd love to see him in there. There's
Xabi Alonso.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's hard to say because at the minute there's so many good players. Like, I wouldn't know who to bring in other than Gerrard. Gerrard would be the one, definitely.
Yeah,
Gerrard would be the one, and then probably Torres and Suarez. Although I don't know if they'd get in the team or not, just for nostalgia's sake for Torres, and then Suarez, because when he was in his prime, he was ridiculous. So him in this team would probably just be stupid.
One of the questions I would have asked is what manager would you have to come back, but I think that's completely ridiculous considering that Klopp is quite literally the man.
Yeah, when you've been seeing the sort of football we've been playing, like people might notice that I haven't said anybody from any sort of generations before I played, like before I was born. So like not Barnes I mean Barnes played in the Premiership a bit, and so did Rush and players like that, but they were sort of before my time, so I didn't see him play enough to be able to say, I'd have him in this team. I'd feel like I was copping out of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Kenny. I've seen loads of footage of Kenny Dalglish and stuff like that, but all these other players I've seen play live, so I feel more comfortable picking them. So managers would be saying it'd be Klopp, because since I've been watching Liverpool, there's been Roy Evans, Kenny Dalglish, Roy Hodgson, Jesus fucking Christ, Rafa, and none of them compare. None of them compare to Klopp. God. And the way we're playing at the minute. So,
what's the best football game you've ever been to? The best match?
What, live?
Yes.
Liverpool versus Borussia Dortmund in the quarter-final of the UEFA Cup. And that's when Lovren scored it last minute. We went through. That was the best. That actually won an award for the best sort of live atmosphere of the year at the UEFA Awards.
Right.
So,
I think I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask anyway. What game do you wish you were at?
Probably the Liverpool-Barcelona semi-final, 4-0.
Oh, then that is not what I guessed.
More than a final. Maybe Istanbul, 2005.
That was what I would have guessed.
Yeah, maybe Istanbul, 2005. That's a bit of recency bias there, isn't it? We're straight to Barcelona. But yeah, that was such a good game, man. That was like... I probably still would pick the Barca game. Just because it was... No one thought we could do it. Like, they're coming back from 3-0 at half-time against AC Milan it was what it was, but that Barca, you had like a week or so of people saying, yeah, you've got no hope, and then to come back and win it the way we did, it'd probably be the Barca game. It's at Anfield as well. So that makes it more special.
If you chose to leave football behind, which sport would you want to follow instead? Not that I ever intend you to leave.
I tell you what I've got into recently is UFC.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been watching it a lot more. I used to sort of like not like it as much as boxing. I thought boxing was more technical, and UFC was a bit more like wild. But the more you watch it, the more I realise how technical these fighters are. They're like, some of them are so smart with what they do in the octagon and stuff. So if I could never watch football again, I'd probably start watching a lot more UFC.
Now you're a big music fan.
I am.
What's the best gig you've ever been to? Now that is a heavy one, because you have been to lots and lots of gigs, not including festivals.
I'd probably the best gig. I shouldn't even have to. I shouldn't have had to think about that. Blink at Nottingham.
Blink 182. That would have been 2012.
Yeah, because I got a bit emotional at that gig. Can you remember?
I do. Yeah. That was where. I do remember, because
it was just because it's a band that I've listened to from 13-year-old or whatever it was, right up until we went to that gig, and actually seeing them, it was amazing. It was like, holy shit, they're right there. Even though they phoned it in a bit, but I'm not going to let that detract.
So Blink 182. How did you find growing up, like loving the music that you love in
Nightmare?
Yeah. I mean, you grew up in quite a rough area anyway. I won't name it, obviously, for your privacy reasons, but it was kind of like a rough area.
Yeah,
and being a rocker, well, that's a massive understatement. But on top of that, being like a rock fan.
It wasn't too bad when I was in Nottingham, and anybody who knows Nottingham has probably figured out now where the rough area was, because there's only but yeah, it wasn't too bad in Nottingham. It was worse because I moved to Sutton in 1998. I was 12, I think, or 13.
Jeez.
So I was just starting to find myself and what music I liked and stuff like that. and then all the friends I made all liked like R&B and hip hop and stuff like that. But not originally. When I first met them, we all liked Linkin Park and Blink and bands like that. And everybody was wearing Linkin Park hoodies and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, like it was if we hit 15, and then everybody started to like R&B and like hip hop and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I like some R&B and hip hop and rap and stuff, but it wasn't my favourite. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if it's the group of guys I'm thinking that you're talking about, I imagine they really went for R&B and stuff because that's what the girls were listening to.
Probably. Oh yeah. Well, probably.
You know,
it was seen as more cool. It was just coming up to that era where UK garage was getting big. So it was just that getting into that era. So everyone was like, anyone who was cool was listening to hip hop and R&B and Usher and stuff like that. And there was me still listening to Linkin Park and Blink-182 and
being true to yourself, mate. Being true to yourself. I remember when we first met, and you're a very confident guy. You know, you are very kind of confident and self-assured. And I remember kind of meeting you, and I had like that daft haircut.
I don't think it's. I just got to interject, mate. I don't think it's necessarily confidence or self-assured. I just don't really care what anyone else thinks. Maybe that is confidence.
That is confidence. That is having the self-assurance and this kind of self-respect to actually, I'm quite happy with what I like. If you don't like it, fuck off. But I remember when we first met, and kind of I remember asking you something at one point, and I was like, oh, how do you find, like, kind of that same question I just asked you, and you went and you just got in my face. I don't know if you can remember, but you got in my face and you just went, you just tell him to fuck right off. No, I remember thinking, this man is my best friend.
Yeah, I was probably a bit more brash when I was in the mid-20s, but I probably did say that,
No.
Well, that's how you've got to be, man. Don't let people dictate to you what you like or what your interests are. If you are into something, follow it up, and then if you'll meet people along the way who are into the same thing, you can still be friends. I'm still friends with those guys who like R&B and hip hop and stuff like that. It's just I won't ask them to go to a Slipknot gig.
Now, speaking about kind of being true to what you love, I have taken you now to 2 Japanese gigs.
Yes, mate.
Mutant Monster.
Yep.
And the Indie Idol and Infamous show. Now, some of the listeners are going to know exactly what that entails. Out of those 2 shows, which was your favourite?
Oh, I think probably the second one, the Indie Idol Infamous one, because we met more people and we spoke to more people. And I'd probably say I like the music more at the Mutant Monster gig.
Yeah.
But I like the occasion and atmosphere and everything more at the second gig.
Like the community aspect.
Yeah. That's where we met Terry and the rest of the guys on it. Yeah.
Shout out Terry. Yeah. Yes.
I'll never forget that gig when Terry was stood in front of me. I think it was is it Hanako when she was on?
Yes.
Terry stood in front of me, and I must apologise to the other guy who was with. I can't remember his name.
Chris.
They both put these like rain macs on and put the hoods up, and Terry turned around and looked at me, and I was like, oh shit! What's going to happen? What's going to happen here?
I mean, because I kind of gave you no warning, because what I said to you was, don't wear clothes that you value.
Yeah, this is what Matt says to you. He says, Dale, what are you doing on such and such a date? I ain't got no planned. Do you fancy going to a gig? What gig? A Japanese gig. Is there a bar? Yes, I'll come. and then that's it. Well, that's all I need. I don't need no more info, do I?
I remember taking you, because I mean, to put this into perspective, I mean, you know that I've loved Japanese music for as long before we met.
Yeah.
And we used to. I mean, you used to be ruthless with the banter, pal. You used to just be constantly ripping me, you know.
Yeah.
Lovingly. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
not consensual.
jabs.
It was not consensual, but it was understood that the times were different.
Yeah.
But so I remember there was this one day, and I was just like, dude, you have to come to Huddersfield with me to this Mutant Monster gig. And Huddersfield, I've never been other than to see Mutant Monster. Like, as far as I'm concerned, there is only one place in Huddersfield, and it is that venue.
Matt, I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
Well, I do, because I've done it. I think you've took me to 3 gigs. Because weren't Electric Eel Shock?
Electric Eel Shock, yes. I apologise. Yeah, you're right. I took you to 3. Yeah. Okay. Oh, well. In that case, which was your favourite?
It was still the same order. Although I did really like the Electric Eel Shock. That was a really good gig.
I feel like Electric Eel Shock is much more chill, kind of, but compared to the others anyway.
Sorry, I derailed you a bit there, didn't I?
No, it's all good. It's all good. What I was going to say was, so having kind of not being a part of the idol, like the Japanese music scene, when were you expecting what you saw?
Yeah, I think I had sort of I don't want to. A preconceived idea of what the crowd might be like.
Okay.
And what I sort of already knew what the music was about, because the Mutant Monster you sort of showed me beforehand, didn't you? What it was about, and then not so much the second game.
I didn't want you to have any idea what you were going to go into with Hanako.
I went into that one blind, and it's I enjoy it. I wouldn't say like, but to be fair, do you know, after we come back from that Mutant Monster gig, I think for about a week on my commute to work, I was listening to the Mutant Monster, like on the way in and on the way out.
I do remember you sending me a photo of them kind of playing on the stereo.
I would sit and listen to like Mutant Monster, and maybe some Hanako as well. I want So Hot on the other. Was it Garuda
and Garuda, Yuffie and Saki.
Yeah, I want
Double Am.
I mean, they weren't.
They're not your kind of. Yeah.
But I still enjoyed it. Do you know? If you ever said, "Hey Dave, there's a gig on. It's this same 3 people again. Do you fancy coming?" I'd be like, "Yeah, mate, definitely." So. I don't want people to think I'm like shitting all over it.
Oh no. The thing is, I think that a lot of people appreciate the honesty in a way. I mean, some of the guests I've had on the podcast so far have kind of been really passionate about Japanese music, so it's nice to kind of give that idea of what it must be like for an outsider kind of experiencing.
Yeah. So. Everyone was mint. Everyone was dead like chatty and welcoming, and like sort of filled me in on stuff I didn't know about the 3 artists and that, and some real dedicated people as well. There was that guy from Nottingham, I can't remember his name, I'm sure he was from Nottingham, who literally came up, watched the gig, got covered in shit, went back on the train back home again. Like, do you know what I mean?
I can't remember.
I think you knew him because you'd seen him before and you were chatting to him, and he was quite.
His name. It's he runs the Hanako. Shane. His name's Shane.
He
runs the UK Hanako-san Facebook like fan page kind of thing. That's how I met him.
Yeah, I mean that was to come up, watch the gig, get covered in shit and then go back home on the train again straight after. That's
Dedication.
That's dedication, that is, mate. That is dedication.
What was your favourite part of the evening? Of the Indie Idol and Infamous show?
I really liked it when, once she'd done chucking all the shit everywhere, she got everyone to clean up. I think that's amazing. And the music that was on, it's like do 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 do, just this like cheery little sweep up my shit Minions music. It's really good. I was laughing my head off when that happened.
I know, and I couldn't. She did that in Japan as well. I think it's a common part of the show. Do you remember your final words that evening? So, to put into perspective, we'd been to the show. I was absolutely loving life. So I got covered in shit, and I think when I went up in time for the checky, I think Hanako's whoever the guy was taking the photo. He was like, dude, why didn't you clean up? Kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, the American guy. Yeah.
But after that, we went back upstairs, didn't we? When they closed off the downstairs area, we went back upstairs.
Yeah, we were there for ages.
We sat up there, got to see everybody leave. And dude, you have an awesome story about Ukatana from Melon Bataki Agogo, who was looking at photos of your daughter on your phone.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing about being sort of an outsider to these gigs is I don't get starstruck or anything like that because I don't really know much about these guys. So I was just chatting to her as best as we could. Obviously, her being Japanese and me being English, I was just showing her pictures of my daughter on my phone because I was bladdered by this point. So I was just like,
very drunk.
This is my little girl, and she was going, "Oh, so cute." So yeah, then I can remember looking over at one point at you, and you were just like,
my jaw must have been on the floor. You have no idea who you're talking to. And what's amazing is that Ruka was also kind of saying, like how beautiful your daughter was. And
she was really nice. She was a really nice person. She was not pretentious or anything like that. None of them were, to be fair.
None of them ever are, mate. It's a total different industry. I mean, don't get me wrong. There will be divas in every music industry, you know. But
remember when we went to Flyleaf and that security card nearly broke my arm because he thought I was putting my hand on Mosley's bum.
Yeah, at least Mosley's. Yeah.
She hasn't got a bum to put an hand on.
And you were trying to put your hand like on.
I was just trying to have a picture
on her back.
Yeah.
And the guy came over. I think we were probably drunk, and he probably thought that you were that way inclined. But
yeah, well, there were none of that. I was just like, "Here, Duck, have a look at this."
That sounds worse. But I
lost my drink there.
Sorry, mate. Don't spill your water. Then, so after the show, we went upstairs. We carried on drinking. Then we went outside. We spent a bit more time with Terry, and we spent time with Lee and quite a few others.
God, I chatted his ear off. I think.
Poor Lee, yeah, bless him.
I was asking him all about America and what he does and stuff like that.
From Virginia, wasn't he? Wasn't he staying in the same hotel we were?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, because he was chatting. Because we went back to the hotel, and then that's where we saw those like 5 Japanese guys sat around the table eating.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I went to the fridge to get something to eat, and it was like £8 for a sandwich. So I thought, fuck that, I'm not hungry. And then we went and sat with these Japanese, and I'll never forget. We were sat with these 5 Japanese guys. I don't think they spoke much English, if they spoke any English. But you've been taking Japanese lessons, haven't you, man? So you were like trying to get talking.
I was trying to talk, yeah.
So all Matt ends up doing with these 5 Japanese guys is basically humming and singing like the EastEnders and Neighbours Coronation Street Japanese version to them, and they were loving it. Loving it.
I remember I was singing theme songs to dramas, but they would have been it would have been the Blue Hearts from a 2002 drama called Hitoni Asashiku, and I started singing like that. Funnily enough, I did that in Japan as well. When I went to go and see Hanako again, and fortunately my Japanese was a little bit better, I got talking to a group of guys out there because I wasn't the only foreign guy at the gig, but I was the only kind of foreign guy queuing to go in. And so I started chatting to these Japanese blokes, and when I'm drunk, I just start singing the Blue Hearts, which was and mate, honestly, I got two other guys singing it with me. It was amazing, but the only problem was they knew all the lyrics, and obviously I didn't. So
you just had to start going, hey yo, yeah.
So I had to do that thing where you pretend you know what the things are, but you're kind of actually really speeding it along to the chorus. So it's like a But afterwards, one of the most beautiful moments of my life has ever occurred in a hotel room with another man.
Oh yeah, baby.
And I put it on Twitter, and funnily enough, Hanako, Yuffie, Garuda, and Saki all liked it, which was we'd ordered a pizza.
Oh, that fucking pizza.
We took it back into the room, and we were both so drunk, and it were twin beds, fortunately. So we both kind of like, almost went to sleep pretty much straight away. We'd eaten what we could of the pizza, but there was still some left. I remember leaving it on the side, and we lay down, the lights were off, and all I remember hearing was, "It stinks of fucking cheese pizza in here."
You couldn't.
And I were in bits, and I put that up on Twitter, and they all liked it. It was beautiful. Now you actually carry two Checky around with you at all times.
Yeah, they're in my wallet.
They are in your wallet, and I've already mentioned, but who are they?
I don't know where my wallet is. Mutant Monster.
Yeah.
And Hanako.
Yeah, because that was awesome. That being a guy that isn't that bothered, isn't kind of interested as such in the Japanese music scene, that you still took part in the Checky session. Because that is an experience that you can say that, what other gig are you ever going to go to?
No,
where you are going to stand in a queue and have a Polaroid taken.
Yeah, man, it was brilliant. It was awesome. I think it's such a cool thing that they do.
When we go to Japan, what are you most excited to do?
Oh, if I'm being honest, brutally honest, eat meat.
Eat meat.
Eat meat. I can't wait. to just eat my way through Japan. I'd like to go to a gig if we can.
Yeah.
Just so much, man. So much. I know. You know what I'm like, man. Just at the bar, karaoke. Oh, I want to go in one of those little bars that I've seen.
It's izakayas.
Like, yeah, man, that looks sick.
I would, mate. Me and you will definitely go to Japan, because we need to go and set ourselves a task of being in as many izakayas as you can and paying the table charge in each one of them.
Yeah. No, man, this just to see the place as well. It's like I wouldn't want to just go to the like Tokyo and stuff. I'd want to go to the more outskirty, smaller places.
I've got like a real love for Nagano Prefecture, which is kind of like the countryside. I'd love to go there. So, thank you. I will say now, thank you for having not always understood my passion for Japan and the music. Thank you for coming and experiencing it and making your own mind up on that. Whereas, as opposed to somebody that might not understand it and never actually being closed-minded. You are a very open-minded guy. So thank you for that support, that friend support,
Well, you're never going to find new stuff that you like, if you only just stick to one thing in life.
Exactly. Well, I mean, one of the questions that I've asked on this show before is, how do you find what support kind of, like I said with you, with kind of growing up with rock music in the area that you grew up with, like nobody would have. I can't even name a second person in Ashfield, I don't think, that likes Japanese music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
no,
especially growing up, you know, in that predicament, like 2005, 2006, where, you know, I discovered Japanese music in 2005. And yeah, it was just a completely ridiculous. I remember my mum, who is really supportive, you know, but even she at the time was like, it's a phase, you'll grow out of it, what you on about? Do you know what I mean? And you know,
yeah. So. Oh God, yeah.
So,
yeah, man, I like it. Like that song you sent me the other day. Oh God, I can't remember.
Passcode.
Yeah, that first one you sent me, though, not the second one, but the first one.
Starry Sky. Yeah.
Like that's some upbeat, energetic shit. That's like. Put that on before you go to the gym or something like that. It's like proper. See, to me, music, it doesn't matter where it's from. Like, if it's good, it's good. It doesn't matter what genre it is. I'll listen to classical, I'll listen to country, I'll listen to rap, I'll listen to Slipknot, Disney songs since my daughter's been born. You know what I mean? And if I enjoy it, I'll listen to it. I won't like just go, oh, I'm not listening to that because it's. Well, that don't like, and just because I'll listen to it, don't mean that I'll necessarily like it.
Yeah.
Luckily, with the Japanese stuff, I do like it, but the K-pop stuff, I've already said to you, we went to a K-pop night.
Yep.
I didn't realise they were playing K-pop music until about an hour and a half into the night, and someone said to me, "Yeah, this has been K-pop all night." Because to me, it just sounded like normal pubby, dancey music. Do you know what I mean? It didn't sound. It didn't sound specifically different. So
that's the beauty of it. Is, you know, people seem so against certain things, and if they're being honest with themselves, they wouldn't even know the difference. Yeah.
No,
if let's use the example of K-pop. If a Korean person was singing in English, which some of them do, you know, you do have English versions of some songs. If they started singing in English, people wouldn't even know they were Korean. Well, they possibly would just because of the English. But, for example, like it'd take quite a bit of time for somebody to actually realise that that's a Korean person singing. You know?
Definitely. Mate, I didn't know for like an hour and a half. Anyway, we need to do our podcast because I've got a story about that night, and it's so funny. It's so funny.
Yes, that's going to be something that we'll have to. Well, in fact, let's use that motivation to start that other show. Definitely. Now, you are a very, very open-minded guy. That is one of your greatest strengths. So now I want to ask, what are your thoughts on religion? Just so you know.
Okay.
Just so you know, this podcast is total free speech. And to the listeners as well. The purpose of this podcast is I want my guests to feel that they can speak openly about anything they want. There will be no censorship on this, because I think one of the greatest things about being a human being is people feel differently and can express different opinions. So that is why I want to touch on this.
Okay.
So feel free.
They're all, in my opinion, bollocks. And maybe I just don't see it. I just don't see. If there was a God, then surely there'd be one God, not however many thousands of gods there are out there. I've never really had any like religious experiences myself. All I've ever seen of religion is how it persecutes people, and leads to prejudice against people and stuff like that. I've never, like, I see more harm from it than what I see good from it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, how many people are killed because they don't want to be Muslim anymore? How many people are killed because the Bible says you can't be gay, or do you know what I mean? It's just it's so frustrating to me that these stories, which is what they are in my opinion, hold so much weight over so many people. If we want to get brutally honest about it, I think it's holding us back as a human race. I think religion holds us back because we're so busy arguing and fighting over what's better, what religion is the right religion or the correct religion. How many wars have been waged over it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, all you have to do is look at one documentary about space and how big it is and vast it is and how insignificant we are in it to make you realise that, we're not really anything special. There's nothing magical about us. We're just lucky. And that's it, really. It frustrates me more than out religion does.
Yeah. I mean, you would identify as an atheist.
Oh yeah, 100%.
As an atheist, what could be the best outcome for, like, for example, the end of life? Not necessarily your death, but like, are you happy in the thought that once this is done, it's done? Or
yeah, I think it gives you. I think it's more freeing to know that once I die, that is it.
Yeah.
Because then it pushes you to do stuff like leave your job and go and do a degree in something that you love doing, because this might be the only chance you get. So
yeah.
I think it forces you to live for now rather than wait for us, especially really religious people who are like very devout and they follow the religion to the letter. To know that they're, in my opinion, wasting their lives, it's a tragedy to me that they're missing out on so much in this one life that they're going to get because of something that might happen. I know to them it's true and it will happen, and I know that, and I understand, like, a lot of soldiers are religious, a lot of prisoners are religious because it gives you something more to hold on to. Yeah. It, like, if you think that there's something looking over you and protecting you, especially soldiers, I can 100% understand why they would want to believe in something like this.
Yeah, because what is the saying? It's there are no atheists in foxholes.
Yeah. Which is true, and I can understand that. I can understand it being under that much stress and danger all the time. I can understand why you'd want to believe that there was something more. If you thought that your life could end, because let's be honest, we don't really think about it, do we? We don't really think about, I could drop dead now. Nobody really thinks like that.
It hits you with some real existentialism,
yeah,
doesn't it? It kind of hits you with oh god,
yeah, like
literally.
But people don't think like that. But when you're in a foxhole and you've got bullets flying over your head, then I can see that. Yeah, you would think like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would never stop anyone believing what they want to believe.
Yeah.
If they want to believe that there's an imaginary man in the sky that makes it rain and he's watching them do whatever they want to do to the ends when nobody else is watching him, then that's fine. That's the only problem I have is when it starts to affect like school teaching and stuff like that. I suppose this is more of a problem in America than in the UK, but like when they're trying to ban the teaching of evolution and force creationism onto things, well, there's science behind evolution.
Yeah.
There's no science behind your God. It's just what you believe. It's your faith that makes it real. Whereas this testament, Ricky Gervais, he said he made a really good explanation. He said, I think it was on the Stephen Colbert show. He said, if you burn all the religious texts, all of them, so there was nothing left, and you burn all the science books, so there was nothing left, in 1,000 years, all of those religious texts would be different, but all of those science books would be the same, because all of those tests would provide the same results.
That's pretty crazy, isn't it, to think?
Whereas you wouldn't have a story about a flood and a man building a boat. It'd be something different.
Yeah.
Because it'd be stories that so that's the best way I've heard it explained.
That's a great way of looking at it. As an atheist, are there pros and cons of heaven and hell?
Not really. I don't think.
And what are your thoughts on reincarnation?
No, that's the same thoughts of
Heaven and hell.
Heaven and hell, yeah. And
Yeah.
heaven and hell is like what I do with my daughter.
Yeah.
You make things up to make
Fairy
sure.
tales.
Yeah. You if there's the parents out there listening, the biggest one that you do is, if you're naughty, Santa won't bring you any presents. That to me is no different than saying to a grown man, if you're naughty, you'll go to hell. It's the same. It's something you say to try and get somebody to act in the way that you want them to act. And it's the same with heaven. Oh, if you do this and you're really good, you'll go to heaven. If you do this and you're really good, Santa will bring you that present you want.
Yeah.
To me, it's the same thing. So that they serve a purpose in as much as they use to get people to act in a way that's viewed by their religion as good or bad. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's good or bad for the human race.
I totally agree. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. Right, I've got a lighter question. Underwear, cotton or silk?
What, cotton? Silk?
Good man. Far expensive. Nobody can afford that round here. Moving on. Now I want to ask you some situational questions.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Oh, these are going to be... Have I got to answer quick?
You don't have to answer quick, but it's just kind of like, you know, I'd like to give you a few questions that I'm going to need an answer to.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you rather have one nipple or two belly buttons?
2 belly buttons.
You'd rather have 2 belly buttons?
No, sorry, 1 nipple. Sorry, I was thinking in my head, why do I need nipples? Yeah, so I'd quite happily only have 1 nipple.
1 nipple it is.
It's literally just for decoration. I'll just tattoo another one on. Problem solved.
Beautiful. Number 2, would you rather have skin that changes colour based on your emotions, or tattoos appear all over your body depicting what you did yesterday?
Would they cover up the tattoos I've already got?
I didn't think that far ahead.
Because that might not work so well on me.
Look, mate, I didn't come up with the questions.
A skin that changes colour. That'd be cool as fuck.
Based on your emotions, so people would always know what mood you're in.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Okay. Number 3. Would you rather have a night where you have to hold your best friend up as he urinates, or have big boy wheeze for the rest of your life?
Ooh. Well, having done 50% of this question,
Um,
I'll hold you up while you piss again.
Cheers, mate. Explain what a big boy wee is.
Oh, big boy. Everyone should know what a big boy wee is. You're at the urinal. You've got to put your hands above your head, but also drop your pants and your trousers down to your ankles while shouting, big boy wee.
No matter how crowded the room is.
Yeah. Or if the manager walks in while you're doing it.
Those were the days. One final question, and it's a deep one. Who's had the biggest impact on your life?
Fucking hell. My grandma.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely don't know what I would or where I would be if it weren't for her. 100%. So, I'll probably... Yeah, definitely, yeah. Definitely, yeah.
That's beautiful, man. Right. This is your final opportunity to convey any message that you would like to with the audience, with the listeners, before we sign off.
Ooh, fuck Trump. Black Lives Matter. What else do I want to say? Oh, just go for it. If you're thinking about doing something, just do it. What's the worst that can happen? Give it a shot. Unless it's something bad, then don't do it. Think about it.
Dale, brother, it has been brilliant having you on the show. Have you enjoyed yourself? Was it as bad as you were expecting?
No, it was different to what I was expecting. I was just expecting a few questions about Japanese music, not all this other stuff. But yeah, no, I've enjoyed it.
I hope I made it interesting for you.
Yeah, man, 100%.
You are one of the most inspirational people I've ever met. You have had a massive impact on my life, and I quite literally would not be sat here without you. So thank you for being awesome, Dad. Ladies and gentlemen, give your best friend a call. Let them know how you are. Ask them how they are. We'll be out of this mess soon, but we're not out of the woods just yet. So stay awesome until then. And until next time, stay safe, stay positive, and never drink Ray Nephew.
Bye-bye now.